Hi, YouTube.
Stay tuned for Brandon losing his mind in this episode.
That's
you
what
have to
came
end
up with?
early.
Yeah, well, you left the episode early.
Whatever, just watch.
The human body is very special.
Yes, thank you, Jack.
But you want to destroy it.
No, men don't know it because they don't know how to produce nutrients for sure.
No, you can't say that in 2023.
You had
men can.
No.
Relax. You had 9 months of discomfort. You've been taking it out on us since you got back.
First of all, it's 10.
It ain't our fault that you got pregnant.
But I'm not taking it out on you. I'm just pointing out.
You are every time you have come here, you have looked at us and said, you know, you men don't have to go through this, right? I can't believe you men.
I have not.
You have too.
I did today.
It's called enlightening.
It's not called enlightenment.
Men
We don't want to hear
can
that
go
shit.
through it.
The only reason that I did that is because I'm not going to out him on this podcast, but I had a moment with one of our coworkers outside that I thought he called me fat.
There's no way he did.
He didn't. But
Rico's been saying that for months.
don't
He's
do
been
that.
saying that for
Don't
months.
do that.
I'll be honest, Rico is not at all.
I didn't say he was fat. I said he's been calling her fat and like text messages and stuff. It's weird.
You have to cut that. He's going to have a
I don't care. Fuck him.
He obviously did not call me fat.
Okay. But I did guess the person.
No, you didn't.
You were talking to Rico for 20 minutes before you came in here.
How do you know that's what we were talking about?
Why else would you talk to him?
Yeah.
He's the worst person we got.
No,
Well,
that's not true.
You had a funny tweet last night
He's
about him.
he's bottom 5.
I don't rank my coworkers.
I do. Me and Jack have a text where we
It's
rank
actually,
them.
yeah, it's
Rank you all according to certain things.
Noah wrote code for it. It just updates every day.
Calm down, 12.
I hate you. God.
12's pretty good.
12 ain't bad.
No. 12 is not a single digit.
No.
I should be.
But this isn't like
You don't know what we're ranking according to.
I thought you were going to say people that you like in the office.
You think you'd be 12 on that list?
Fair.
So you think she'd be top 25? You wouldn't even be getting votes.
Damn.
Did you bring the Athlon?
I gave it to you.
And I didn't bring it.
No.
Katie, if Katie's not in your top 10 of most liked people in the office,
Where
you have a
is it?
problem.
On your desk.
I'm sure it's on my desk.
Did you lose it? Like you lose my charger?
I did not lose it. It's on my desk.
Okay.
I can't go out there because they're mad at me right now.
Say please.
Please?
Thank you.
I offered.
She offered.
I know, but he should still say please. Is the show rolling
I'm
right
pretty sure the show's
Our
recording.
show's
Oh.
been recording.
Got a lot of football to talk about. I got to get that Athlon, though, because I got a point to make about the Athlon.
now? Off the cover or just the whole magazine?
Whole magazine, whole kit and caboodle. Listen, people like to talk shit about the preseason magazines. Oh, they ain't got nothing in them. They ain't got nothing. That's correct. They do not have anything in them. I love them still.
Oh, they're the best.
I love them. I just love seeing them in the store. I love picking them up. I love holding them. I love how they smell.
They are in this like nostalgia. Like,
Yeah.
And there's
nostalgia.
also something, and I know that people, especially younger than me, are gonna poo-poo this. There's something about a hard copy that's just better. Like if I'm gonna read,
Yeah.
I want it to be a book. I want it to be a magazine. Now, obviously, the internet is.
I don't
want
want to read on my phone. I watch videos on my phone.
I don't want to Kindle. Like I don't want to see an
Yeah.
Athlon.
I
on a
record
Kindle.
sex tapes on my phone. I don't use that for a book. You know
You're disgusting.
what? So when she gets back, we'll go. Why's your phone on the floor?
Mine? That's not mine.
There's a phone on the floor in front of you. Is that
that's
Katie's?
Katie's.
Oh, that makes sense.
I will say that the magazines all summer feel so much more important until the first weekend. Like all summer you're reading it, you're going back to reference different things, and then as soon as week 1 is over, you're like, well, I'm never using this again.
Thank you
And then it
very
just
much.
sits on my desk and collects dust.
Feel that. Hold that.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Wait, should I bring?
No.
It's not very heavy.
Yep.
Why is it so light?
Take a look at.
Why is it so small?
We're
this year?
I'm gonna talk about this on the show.
No.
What's wrong with it?
I already know the problem.
Athlon half-assed it.
Let me-
Athlon mailed it in.
Literally half-ass it. Every single team usually gets
Two
two
pages.
pages
Well, okay, hold on.
of the Power 5.
At least top 25. Like Michigan, Ohio State always had it.
Go to the
Penn
back.
State.
I want to show you
This
something. I want to show you
is-
something. I want to show you something. Go to.
Well, that's
oh,
nice.
Cut
The,
in a
the
little
very
bit.
back page is Mike Leach.
But I want you to go to the small conferences at the back. See how much they get.
Why is it so light?
They rushed
Oh my
to do
God.
it.
Four.
out first.
Four.
Well, I mean, it's not their fault. They're
No, Jack. You're not going to do that. We got to start the show, and then I'm going to get
Yes,
into Athlon's
I-
ass. I'm going to get into Athlon's ass.
This is, I mean, immediately recognizable how
Hold it.
light that is and how small that is.
No, I mean, we're gonna get into
that.
it.
You know what? That's like the
weekly
us weekly magazines.
All right, y'all ready to go? Hello, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast. Hi, Kayce.
Hi, Brandon.
I'll be over here reading.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Katie.
Hey, Kayce.
So Memorial Day was this weekend.
Yes, it was.
Which means everybody was on a boat, by a pool, by an ocean, hopefully. I was not, but I was on a rooftop, and I was drinking the new tequila High Noons, which I didn't think that I was going to drink as much as the vodkas. However, I like them. They're pretty good.
I had a wedding on Friday, walked in, open bar. First thing I go, ask for High Noon flavors. They say peach, good, sold. A voice next to me is also asking for that. Turn, that's the groom.
Oh, the groom. I mean,
the groom is like, give me, like, he heard that, was like, oh, I want one too. So we cheers to that in the marriage. We're like, that was a bonding moment.
I like that you said you cheers to High Noon first and then the marriage. Priorities. Jack, what's your favorite High Noon tequila flavor? Do you have one yet?
I mean, I know it's basic, but just the lime.
But it's
it's just a very I like tequila sodas in general.
Do you really?
Yeah. So I mean, I already was drinking it before it came out, but that's perfect because it's just in the can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a vodka soda person. I do prefer the vodka High Noons. However, the tequilas are growing on me. And, of course, this summer, High Noons are the best. We talk about this in the winter all the time. Every time we go somewhere for college football, even when it's freezing, they're drinking them in the snow. But we know High Noons in the summer, they got the pool pack, they have the tequila, they have the variety pack. They're the best. And the big ones, it's pineapple and peach?
Yes.
Yes,
and they're
big
resealable.
Big cans.
Big cans are resealable. So
resealable, yeah.
Resealable. I didn't say that right, but
no, I think that's proper way to describe them.
Resealable. So water, lake, beach, golf, tailgating. You guys know the drill. High Noon's been with us forever. Look for them on Drizly or highnoonspirits.com and find them near you. We love the Nooners and the big cans. Everyone loves big cans.
All right, here's on Athlon, okay?
Well, first and foremost,
hold on.
It's tiny.
It's
also,
tiny.
This is the photo of Michigan's spread last year.
It clocks in, Athlon this year clocking in at 192 pages. Now, if you are going to the beach or wherever this summer and you want to read one of these magazines, buy Lindy's. Lindy's, those are the two out right now. Lindy's is like 280 pages, the same as it always is, has big previews about everything. I'm gonna read you something. This is Tulane's entire article. Tulane's entire article. They're forecast to be number 22 in the country. They beat USC in the Cotton Bowl last year, projected to go 10-3. After going from 2 wins in 2021 to 12 in 2022, Tulane enjoys the role of preseason conference favorite. Quarterback Michael Pratt's decision to stay for a fourth season virtually assures the Green Waves team to beat status in the AAC. Pratt, who threw for 27 touchdowns, ran for 10 more, will have first-team All-AAC center Sincere Haynesworth, 3 other returning starting linemen in front of him. The departures of Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston to the Big 12 puts Willie Fritz's Green Wave in an even stronger position to capture a second straight AAC title.
I mean,
that is the entirety.
Nothing about beating USC.
That is the entirety of the Tulane section.
Top 22 team. They actually get a full.
I just never seen it. They
spread.
They only put for Michigan number 2. They have 1 page. Michigan State shares. There's no 2-pagers. There's no. There's some rosters in here.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's really bad. Athlon mailed it in. Athlon, you've been a part of my life for 40 years. What the fuck are you doing?
I mean, it's not their fault.
Why is it not their fault?
The economy stinks.
Lindy's came out.
The economy stinks.
Lindy's is big.
Do you think it was them rushing to get it out first?
I guess.
To market? Because that was my thought.
It's bad. This is bad.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't Athlon always had a 2-page spread for every single Power 5 team?
No, usually it'll be for like the top 25 will get the 2-page spreads, and then then every other Power 5 team will get 1 page.
Yeah, like Rutgers gets 1 page. Like in the Big Ten, it's Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan.
I don't.
I know what you're thinking. What you're doing is you're confusing it with the regional cover, which will be a Longhorn or an Aggie, and all of those teams and all the Big 12 teams in there will have multiple pages.
No, I honestly thought maybe I'm thinking of a different magazine, but I always thought it was every Power 5 team, or at least majority of the Power 5 teams got 2 pages, and they always had the roster, and they always had every breakdown of how many years every coach has been there. But I'll be honest, I mean, you didn't even have to tell me. You told me there was something wrong with it. As soon as I held it, I realized, I mean, that's just a miniature.
Katie has made notes on the NC State page.
I've started reading.
And Pitt. Of course she has. You know that she...
I
by the time football season starts, she will have written on every single one of those pages.
Her notes on Pittsburgh. Lost Izzy to the Hizzy.
I don't want to spell the last name.
Brooklyn's finest.
Need weapons.
Don't make fun of her notes.
No, I love it. This is a
These
great
are
way. I wish you could buy magazines pre-written with notes.
This is my TLDR one. My favorite one is page 6 previews.
I do love
Brett
that one.
Sienica,
Look,
butchering it, but
look. She in North Carolina. She just circled the 4 losses in a row last year.
Look at the most right hand note on the page.
Fuck. She just wrote fuck. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Apparently, other coaches are calling UNC transfer U. So that's why recruiters.
I feel like everybody's transfer U.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. As I dive more into this season, man. As I dive more into this season, I'm beginning to really wonder. This is going to be an unpredictable season. Now we'll have 3 months to figure all this out. But Georgia's going to be the preseason number 1, and they should be, right? Because they won 2 in a row. Even Georgia, though, has a lot of questions. So they had a lot of questions last year, and they answered every one of them positively. But they got a new quarterback this time. They got a new offensive coordinator. They got questions. Alabama could be right back to where they were, or they could be the weakest they've been in years. Ohio State has a new quarterback. This might be one of the years where we know less about the top teams than we've ever known.
I would agree with that.
You can't name a top team that doesn't have some sort of question mark.
And Michigan would have, I think, the least amount because J.J. McCarthy's coming back. However, the way they lost in the college football playoff, you can't put them at number 1. You have to put Georgia at number 1.
We don't talk enough about how embarrassing it is that Michigan lost to that TCU team. There's no reason they should have lost to that TCU team.
When you say that, it makes it sound like you're saying that TCU was so bad, Michigan shouldn't have lost.
I am saying that.
They were not near. You're still on.
I think Michigan was a much better football team than TCU. I can't believe they lost that game.
But that goes to show how football just exists. I mean, it's not any given Sunday. Obviously, it was on a Saturday. Or when was it? Was it on a Saturday?
I believe it was on Saturday. Sure.
And it was any given Saturday. I mean, it's not that some team like UConn could go in and beat Michigan. But if you're within, there's margins at which you can play. And TCU played probably their best game against Michigan. And then
Michigan threw 2 pick sixes.
Michigan probably played their worst. And then the next game, Georgia played their best game, and TCU played their worst game ever. So if you think about it that way, I mean, it's not that crazy. I agree with you. They should have beaten them.
They absolutely should have.
And in Michigan, now it's not we need to make the playoff. It's we have to win.
Now it's time to win it,
Yeah, it's no longer, oh, that's great. Like, Jim beat Ohio State finally. Like, it's nice to have something. No. Now the expectation for J.J. McCarthy and that team is, hey, you're going to the college football playoff to at least win 1 game.
So when we talk about OU in the college football playoff, it's always a punchline, right? Like they go and then they get their doors blown off. I know that they haven't lost embarrassingly every single time, but it became that where it's like, well, even if OU makes it, they're going to embarrass themselves. They're going to lose. If Michigan does that again, are they that new OU team?
Yeah. I don't.
Like, do they?
I
don't
think it's the same as OU. OU does have the one game against Georgia where it was 54-48. They lost in overtime, and it was a terrific game. But
they just could never win it. So
and I think Notre Dame is also one of those teams where we think they're good enough to get to the playoff, and we never think they can win a game. But if Michigan goes to the playoff and loses in the round of 4 again, like that, they've locked themselves in as somebody who can't win a national title.
But that's not the worst thing to be.
No, it's not.
I mean, Brian Kelly, I think, had one of my favorite press conferences ever, which was when after he lost again to Alabama, he said, "We're gonna keep showing up."
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, we're top 4, and yes, there's a gap between us and this other team, without a doubt. But we're gonna keep showing up. And then, I mean, obviously he left, but for Harbaugh and Michigan, they have the talent to win those games. And Oklahoma too. Oklahoma got blown out by potentially the best team ever.
Right.
And then you had a very close game against Georgia, who almost won the national championship.
Yeah.
And then against an Alabama team that they lost to Clemson that year.
Yeah, they got blown. It was 35-0 at the end of the first quarter, 28-0, something like that.
It was, but here's the thing, like, is it that bad to be Oklahoma? No.
No, it's not.
Like, we're talking about a team that couldn't beat Ohio State.
Yeah, no, I'm not discrediting Oklahoma because I think all of us in this room would sit here and say, would I rather be Oklahoma or rather never make it to the college football playoff? Absolutely. I'd want to go to the playoff. However, it is one of those things where the more the playoff evolves, especially as it stays 4 teams, it's easy to pick out those teams. Like, well, yeah, you make it, but you
100%.
can never win.
100%.
And like last year, Michigan fans were like, hey, we did this back-to-back years. We beat Ohio State back-to-back years. We're back. If they lose again, then they become that punchline.
Let me ask y'all a question. When do y'all get into full college football is coming mode where you're diving into teams, where you're watching clips? When do you do that? Because today's the day after Memorial Day. I'm not there, but I'm close as fuck.
I've been listening to College Football Winning Edge podcast. They've gone through the bottom. They probably have 1,000 listeners. They should have more though. They're up to they've gone through 15 teams now, 134 to 120 or 110 actually. So I'm previewed out on all the awful teams. Oh my god.
What just happened?
Anyways, you know what happened? The air conditioning turned on and it turned up the lights for some reason. I also am watching Bud Elliott's College Football Summer School. They have a bunch of great videos. So those are two ways I've been getting into it.
Would you like to give the people a list of the podcasts they should be listening to?
I actually don't listen to any other podcasts outside of College Football Winning Edge. And then I don't listen to the Cover 3, but shout out to them. They're cool.
Bud Elliott's his summer school is very good.
Because he brings in a journo.
Yeah.
Or someone who works for the 24/7.
Don't say journo. I don't like the way you said journo.
Okay. Somebody that works for the 24/7 team.
A big J.
A big J.
And our 24/7 site for the specific team. They talk it out. I'm starting to think, I'm getting into it.
I get to the point where in June, it's like I'm watching stuff. I'm kind of flirting with it. July 4th is like go time.
So I started watching. I watched the top 100 plays of bowl season from last year. Last night I watched the top plays of 2010 to 2020. Like I'm starting to film all my free time with college football, and by the midsummer, it'll just do 100% of it. I'll start doing spaces and shit just to get rid of the time.
There is that break for people who cover college football, and it really is right around July 4th, where it's like you can be doing it in your free time and it's as a hobby, but if you're not like hitting the ground running the Monday after 4th of July, you're not covering the sport
SEC
correctly.
Media Days is usually the week or 2 weeks after.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of the SEC.
We should never go to those.
Huh?
We should go to those one time.
Katie really wants
those
us to
suck.
go to
Those are the worst.
Those are the worst.
They are the worst.
And then even if you interview coaches there, they're on their 30th interview of the day. They don't want to talk to you.
But
I think Barstool can interview different.
But the only thing is, it's like they're on interview 30 of the day. They're tired as fuck. And they're in the middle of summer camps.
And they've got their PR guys right beside them.
There.
I was going to, and also it would be tough for us because ESPN, the SEC network, do run the entire thing, so we probably wouldn't be allowed. However, when it's in Nashville, it would be fun to go.
I'm always DMing for their media guide.
Yeah.
I got someone to almost let it last.
Well, I got an in with the SEC office if you need any of that stuff.
Rick Sankey?
No.
Pretty close, though.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Pretty high up.
We hang out.
Yeah.
Me and Greg. Yeah, me and I call him G baby, but we hang out.
Does he die? Like,
huh?
Does G baby die?
Me and G Funk, G Town,
G. You tell him
July
that you hate
17th,
the referees and that he's.
He knows. He knows. I get all pissy about it.
When you did go to SEC Media Days, did you ever get to interview Mike Slive? R.I.P.
No, I never did, but I think his last one was my first one.
We did an interview with him. It was when I was with the SEC Network, so it made sense. And he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
So nice.
It's amazing how much bigger.
I just realized Stanley's on your shirt. It's a cool shirt.
Florida Stanley from The Office. I remember. You ruined it. I don't know what I was going to say.
You're talking about Mike Slive.
First interview.
It's amazing how much bigger a position SEC commissioner is now than it was 15 years ago.
And even, not even 15. Even like
10. Yeah.
When I was there, so it was 2014, 2015. Mike Slive would have his like PR people with him, but he would walk through like that main room in the hotel almost completely unbothered sometimes. I mean, obviously people probably knew, hey, we can't go up and just interrupt his day. But Greg Sankey could not do that now.
The SEC has really, it's always been a baseball conference, but like they've taken their basketball's elite now. They've taken over to a point. The women's gymnastics, they just won women's gymnastics. I'm trying to think of other sports. Swimming, I think they're getting Texas. Texas is dynamite at swimming.
So softball, they had a moment, and then softball has kind of come down to earth because I think they only had. They only have
Oklahoma,
three
but they're going to get Oklahoma though.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Oklahoma's won 48 in a row. They'll be there. They dominate everything. They've won 48 games in a row.
Oh, games. Sorry, they meant natties.
Oh, no. Because Alabama's won one recently, but Oklahoma's really good. They've overtaken everything. Like it's a true test of what these people forget. If you win at football, everything else goes well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't just have a good baseball team or a good basketball team, but if you win at football, it's all going to work out. It's a big fucking triangle.
Rise and all that.
Speaking of the SEC, so one of the debates going on right now at the SEC meetings in Destin is a debate that I think is being watched by other conferences and other schools, and it is, what are they going to do? Are they going to go to 9-game conference schedule? They're going to stay at 8-game conference schedule? There's been some, if you've listened to the back channels, you've heard there was movement to go to 9 games, and then there was a counter movement to stay at 8 games. Right now, Greg Sankey looks like he prefers a 9-game schedule, but it is believed, and hopefully this vote doesn't happen in the next hour or two, it is believed that the schools and the ADs favor an 8-game schedule.
Kirby came out and was like, I don't care. Which makes sense.
I whenever Kirby or Saban come out and speak on behalf of the SEC, I always cringe. Like, yeah, I'm sure you don't care. You beat the fuck out of everybody. Nothing can affect your football team right now.
Happened again.
There's nothing a schedule maker can throw at Georgia right now to slow them down at all. So, yeah, why would it matter to him? But would it matter to Elijah Drinkwitz? Would it matter to Shane Beamer? Would it matter to Sam Pittman? Yeah.
Well, and also, even if it did matter to Kirby or Nick Saban or whoever it may be, they can't come out and say that, because when you say I'd rather play 8 games versus 9 games, what you're saying is I'd rather play one more cupcake game and one less conference game, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
What game's going to get eliminated?
Well, here's the thing.
Vanderbilt.
No, like Tin Horn weekend.
Well, they believe if they go to a 9-game schedule, that's where
the weekend in November would go.
The rotation. That's where they believe like you're going to lose your Alabama, Tennessees. You're going to lose your Auburn, Georgias. You're going to lose this as the system they go to. You're going to have one opponent, one constant opponent. I'm sure for State it'll be Ole Miss. For Auburn it'll be Alabama. For Georgia, it'll be Florida, I guess.
Yeah, you can't get rid of that.
Yeah, so I don't know what that does to Tennessee. Does that give them Vanderbilt? Like, that's kind of crazy. But anyway, as an SEC fan, I look at it and say, 8 games in the SEC, and you can call this a homer take or whatever. 8 games in the SEC is as competitive as 9 games in most conferences most years. It just absolutely is. However, if you're and the SEC believes this, if you believe yourself to be the leading conference in the country, the number 1 conference in the country, it is hard to sit back and watch Big 12 and Big 10 and Pac-12 and ACC all give their TV providers 9 conference games, all give their fans 9 conference games, all give themselves a competitive disadvantage of 9 games when the SEC stays at 8. That makes the SEC look like cowards.
Well, and that's why whenever these coaches come out, even if they're at the top of it, like Kirby Smart, and say, hey, we would prefer to go to 9 games, even if they don't feel like it, it is a move. Because if you come out and say, well, we don't want to be like every other conference, then it makes you look weak or soft. And even if you believe what you just said, which I do think a lot of people would say, yeah, playing in the SEC week in and week out is a lot harder. If other conferences are doing it and then the SEC has that one weekend in November, it does not matter if you've played the hardest schedule in the world. If the last weekend before rivalry weekend, you're playing Chattanooga or whoever it may be, it's going to look bad. It's just simply going to look bad, even if it's not fair.
Like, even if it's in November or not, I honestly think it's like you look at, if you're the Big 12 and you look at that as a bad thing, well, first of all, they schedule it better because, like TCU last year played 9 straight games or 9 straight weeks, and they didn't have a chance to even have a bye week kind of like that. So it looks bad, but also if they play in September, why is it that big of a difference?
It's a great thing to have built in, but from the visuals, from like the inside, like the outside looking in, every single year, regardless of what it is, there's always the crowd outside of the SEC that's like, do you see what the SEC is doing?
But I always thought it was very overblown, though. I mean, the SEC.
But it doesn't matter. They've won every national championship. You know what I mean?
No.
But it's like, okay, they can point and moan about that, but it's like, yeah, then TCU, you play such a tough schedule, and you play Georgia, and you lose 65-7. It's like, okay, so you're bitching that they're playing Sanford. Get better players. You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely agree.
It's like, oh, it's so annoying. It's you like TCU played Northwestern Texas, Oregon State in the fucking week 2.
Mm-hmm. I remember that Northwestern Texas Oregon State game.
I do think that from an optics standpoint,
hold on. You came up with Northwestern Texas Oregon State.
Well, Northwestern State's a real team.
Okay.
And then I combined Texas, and then I don't know where I got Oregon from, and then I put state at the end. It's 2 states.
You said Beavers on the mind, I guess.
It's like IUPUI.
He just was a Mad Lib right there. He was just
IUPUI is 1 state.
Yeah, but it's 2 universities combined.
Yeah, Indiana University, Purdue University of Indiana. What's the second I? Indianapolis?
In Indianapolis.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, good. So at least some good came out of that.
Shut up.
I was more thinking about this as more what people. I know what you're saying on ESPN every week. It's like, oh, it's the easy week. That's the narrative, but it doesn't matter.
Also, all easy weeks become the fun weeks. You look on
it
the
did.
calendar.
It
not
did,
the shit through a tin horn.
It did birth my favorite tweet I had of last year. When it was when that week, had all the easy games for the SEC, and I believe I tweeted because South Carolina beat Tennessee 63-38, and I tweeted it's really bullshit. The SEC gets to schedule cupcakes like Samford, Middle Tennessee State, and Tennessee on this week.
Your best tweet last year, at least in my opinion, was the one about Stetson Bennett after he threw like a 95-yard pass to Brock Bowers against South Carolina.
Yeah,
you were like, Stetson Bennett's just gonna dump the ball off the Bowers all the way to being invited to the Heisman ceremony, huh? And then he did.
Yes, he absolutely did.
I would prefer those games be played in September. I understand.
Just make September so.
Oh, I found it. It's bullshit that SEC teams schedule cupcakes like Austin Peay, UMass, and Tennessee in November.
That was a good one.
How many likes?
Oh, 10,000?
26.7K.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. What the?
That's a good one. Just let the lights do what the lights are going to do. Just pretend like we're at Georgia and we got the light show or something.
All right. That's actually like it's like someone just hit a home run.
You're right. We're doing a light show every now and
Your
then.
follow-up. After seeing the reaction to this tweet, I'd like to apologize to UMass.
Yeah, that was funny too.
Well, let's not give UMass any credit.
Relax.
I actually think they'll actually be kind of decent this year.
Yeah, that game was also pathetic. Not to bring us
Need to drink more coffee beans.
Yes.
Can I see this? I want to say something.
It's very sad.
Yeah, but I just want to.
Companies go out of business, guys.
Are you saying Athlon's going out of business?
Well, that's not a good look.
It's not a good
there's
indication.
a lot of advertisers.
I still think it was.
I want to call you guys' attention to something, and I'm not calling out Athlon for this.
But
I'm just calling out the general college football media. I feel like we just fall in these lazy traps, and we don't believe a team when they tell us what they are.
Uh-oh.
In the SEC West, Jack, I'm holding it up so you can see it. Alabama is chosen to win the league, and I win the SEC West. I'm fine with that. Okay, I don't think they're going to do it, but whatever. LSU is number 2. Who's number 3 in the predicted order of finish for the SEC West?
That's completely fair.
I don't know why that's fair. Why does A&M get to go 5-7 and people act like they didn't? Every year, A&M is act like we act like A&M is going to be this good team, and why don't we believe them when they tell us?
They have been good. Last year was not a great year, without a doubt. But teams have bad years.
Shaking my head.
Don't you think that's crazy?
It is crazy, but I love it. You guys brought it up, not me.
All right. I got several things to say about this upcoming season.
It's only crazy because of the season last year. However, if you believe recruiting, then it's not that crazy.
Yeah, but half those recruits are somewhere else.
Yeah, but the recruits didn't play.
Whatever.
Regardless.
I don't care.
So you don't think... No, we don't need to get on an Alabama soapbox again. We do it too much.
What?
When you said you don't think they're going to win the division, you're just done with Alabama?
I think LSU is probably a better team than Alabama this year.
Like you're ready to say LSU is going to win the division?
I believe so. I'm not ready to predict. We'll predict them later. But here's my question about it. This is not a prediction about Alabama. These are questions about Alabama. Okay. Every year since like 2009, when he turned the roster over and just had elite guys at every position, you could point at Alabama and say, there it is. That's what separates him from everybody else. There's the elite player. There's the elite talent. Whether it was on defense with Mika Fitzpatrick and Quinnen Williams, or offense with Julio Jones and the stable of running backs and then the quarterbacks that they would later bring in, you could point at them and say, damn, that guy, that's elite. That's what elite looks like. Well, now if you want to point at an elite roster in the SEC, you don't point in Tuscaloosa. You point in Athens. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But if I'm supposed to believe Alabama, who underachieved last year at 10-2, they were that talented. They had a Heisman winner. They had the number 3 pick. I thought they underachieved at 10-2. But if I'm supposed to believe that losing the Heisman winner or a Heisman winner, losing Will Anderson, now they're going to be just as good, you have to allow me to look at the roster and point out where the elite is. It's not at quarterback, because you're either going to go with Tyler Buckner, who's never showed he's elite, Jalen Milroe, who's never showed he's elite, or Ty Simpson, who's never had the chance to show. I can't look at that roster and say there's an elite quarterback there. I can't look at that roster and say there's an elite running back. Alabama fans hope it's 5-star true freshman Justice Haynes. How often in the last 15 years have they had to rely on a 5-star true freshman to be their guy?
Well,
that's rare.
That's rare, yeah.
Point at the receivers and tell me where the elite is. Because a couple of years ago, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a first-round receiver at Alabama. Where is he now?
Well, that's the difference between this Alabama team and
Right.
all the Alabama teams in the past, and I've stood up for it too, where it's like they don't have to have an elite quarterback. You know, all the guys you just mentioned, it's like, well, if they can just be a game manager, I mean, put in every cliche you possibly have, they have all the weapons. You are correct. However, they are still getting 5-star recruits. It's still Alabama.
They are, but the former Alabama rosters were dripping with eliteness from at every level, at junior, senior, freshman, sophomore. This one is not. Like any of those quarterbacks, none of those are elite guys.
I do believe you're not wrong. There's not a guy you can point to and be like top 5 pick. Dallas Turner maybe.
Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be a high pick.
The thing is, when like 24/7 comes out with their team ratings, they're going to be probably number 1.
Yeah.
Like they have the same amount of talent. You're right. We may not really know.
I mean, Georgia's ridiculously talented. Georgia's got.
I know, but like the
elite
guys,
is popping off of their roster. Ohio State, outside of the questionable quarterback this year,
but like Alabama's gonna have a more talented roster, quote unquote.
I don't know if that's a fact this year. Now, if it comes out like that, I don't know if that's true. Now, how much of that will be based on a freshman class that we hope it's going to be elite? I'm just saying, in years past, you could look at Alabama and see it on paper, and this year you can't see it as much. You have to have guys pan out, like what's his name? The safety Downs, Caleb Downs. No, I don't know what his name is. Downs, I believe. He has to start. Justice Haynes, the 5-star freshman and running back, has to start. Like this is
no, he doesn't.
That's who Alabama fans believe is going to be their bell cow.
He's good.
He's fine. He's
a good running back. The lights went out.
Jason McClellan is a fine college running back. He is not the horse that Alabama's used to having.
I mean, who is it really not? I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs last year was better as a receiver. He was a wide receiver.
Well, yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs was a step down from their normal running back. You're talking about the Najee Harris guys. You're talking about these type guys.
The semantics that we go back and forth with is they don't have the proven talent that we've seen in the past.
Correct, yeah.
The proven talent that we know, they're going to be top NFL draft picks. They're going to be guys that can make A.J. McCarron look like the best quarterback in the country. That's fine. No shade at A.J. McCarron. That's just the first name that came to my head. But it's still Alabama.
So I've got 3 teams I came up with today.
I would say their wide receiver core is pretty good.
Jermaine Burton wasn't great. Ja'Cory Brooks is okay. They got a freshman, or they got a junior college transfer who tore it up in their spring game, but he hasn't done it. Like, where is it?
Well, it's also
I think like Malik Benson, Ja'Cory Brooks, Jermaine Burton. Yeah, you're right.
That's not even close to what it was.
What it was. You're right.
All right. Now, I have 3 teams that are in for a rude awakening this year.
Ooh.
That have either high expectations or have set high bar for themselves. I have 3 teams I think are in for a rude awakening. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you okay, Noah? You got
just
the cough?
Let the man cough in peace.
No, I just want him to be okay. I'm asking if he's okay. Because I swear to God, if you ever cough on this fucking show again.
Let the man cough in peace.
Actually, I've seen life without Noah last week when we had a fucking Alabama fan sitting over there. So, Noah, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want.
I've actually thought about picking a team. And I've actually narrowed down a couple options. I won't say anything yet, but
No.
You can't rush a high school commit.
Don't rush it.
He said he's narrowed down some options.
No, I know, but I'd
like to know the options.
I think that maybe we should
how many options
try to
do you
guess
have?
them.
3.
Okay.
All right. Now we're doing this now.
Yes. Are any of them connected to any of us sitting up here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not one of our teams. Okay.
Are they
usually like a top 5, like a top 10 graphic, top 5 graphic?
Okay. Hold on.
No, I know. I want to keep asking questions.
Ask Kayce Fawcett, whatever it is.
Are they a championship level team right now?
I would say so, yes.
Are all three in different conferences?
Last thing I want to say is that it's a Big Ten team.
Oh.
All three of them.
All three, yes.
Always choosing the Big Ten team.
That's good though. We need
Wow.
representation.
And they could be championship level. So
There's 3.
I feel like there's
to mind.
pretty
Well,
obvious
if
3
you
ones.
choose Rutgers, Jack's going to kick you off the show.
Well, they're not
No, I'm
championship
not.
level.
So that's a pathetic team.
Okay, Noah, here's my next question.
So I think it's pretty
Wait,
obvious.
Right.
hold on. Wait, pause this.
Is it the obvious 3?
We might want to get like more official. Like don't because this I can see
You
is
want
gonna.
him to go through a recruitment?
I think
Kinda,
we fun
yeah.
content.
I will say, actually, there was a 4th team I was thinking about. It's not a Big Ten team. It's
Oh.
a Pac-12 team.
Bring it back in.
It's not Colorado.
No.
It's obviously USC.
He said no.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're not going to pry any further.
I
But
feel like it's
every week we're going to go a little deeper.
Well,
I know with the Pac-12, it's definitely Washington.
Wow, he didn't react at all. It's definitely
These are
Washington.
really good with this.
I don't know. He's got a good poker
No,
face.
no, because he immediately said it wasn't USC. He immediately said he didn't. He just looked at Jack when he said Washington. It's Washington. Okay.
It's because he wants to go sailgating.
No, I think it's
he
because
likes
that's like
purple.
the Pac.
No,
If it wasn't
no.
USC, the Pac-12 team we talk about the most probably Washington or
I don't
Utah.
know. Or Oregon.
We talk about Oregon a lot.
Yeah, I don't see him as an Oregon guy.
I don't know. It depends
Washington's
on. We don't
one
know if he
state
likes.
away.
Well, he likes
might like
purple
Nike.
maybe.
He might like
Let me
Nike
see
though.
his shoes.
They're just black shoes.
Are they
Yeah,
Nike?
he's not a Nike. Yeah.
I feel like it's the obvious 3 teams in the Big Ten. It has
Penn
to
State,
be.
Michigan, and Ohio
Yeah,
State.
it has to be. Or at least
maybe
one.
he knows something about one team,
I have a.
like that
Can
transfer.
I ask another question?
Yes.
Okay, well, also one thing that I
Why
should
you
also
hollering?
say too is that when you ask me if they're a championship-ready team, I'm also not that that knowledgeable.
No.
No,
That
that's
is
okay.
true.
Maybe
No,
Natty
okay.
Championship or Big Ten Championship?
He's no chance.
Same thing.
All right. Go with your question.
Is one of these teams connected to other Barstool personalities, like very obviously? Like, say,
All
Dan.
3 have them.
well,
all
but not
Big
if, but
Ten.
that's what, if they're not. No, because it's
Ohio
like
State
Dave.
does, Michigan State.
Yeah,
Penn
but Wisconsin
State does.
is not one of those 3, and
Right.
they do.
Maybe he's picking a
Nebraska has Will Compton.
Yeah, so if he says yes or no, it's all.
Why are you answering his
But
question?
if he says no, then that narrows down like a bigger list.
You know what, Noah? You don't have to answer any more questions today.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to answer anymore anyway.
Okay.
Well, first of all, if we wanted you to answer the questions, you would. Okay.
Well, it would be not. It'd be like because then you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, if he
you're
says yes
narrowing
to that,
down way
then
too much. I feel
Okay.
like,
Well,
if I answered.
what do you want us to do? Is this going to be? Is this going to be another Dana Beers thing where you drag it out and you take all these
Oh, I
recruiting
forgot
visits
about
and
that.
then you end up on fucking Cincinnati of all teams? Remember when he did that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pathetic.
I-
Remember
I-
that? You were
oh,
gone.
No, I remember all that. I
Oh.
was
You
I
showed
was
up
here in the
at,
football season.
when we were in Michigan.
Oh,
Fully
okay.
dressed in Sparty.
He did.
I mean, I can say it next week if you guys want.
Next week we'll find out.
He did go on a recruiting visit. That was.
You know,
He
went
ran
on
it
5.
back. It was
He-
smart.
He went to Texas
I'll
Tech.
give
He
him-
went to
I'll give
Michigan
him-
State.
And he made Texas Tech fans think he was going to be a Texas Tech fan.
And he
Oh,
chose.
yeah, the Tech fans were mad.
They were
And he-
so mad.
Michigan State too, I thought.
He
Oh,
chose
and-
Cincinnati, and I think the day after he chose Cincinnati,
They.
Fickle left.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then the basketball team was like kind of
Yeah.
down this year.
What we
The
should-
Reds are awful.
What we should do for Noah's announcement next week is we all have to come with like our one guess and see who's right.
Are you announcing the 5 teams or the team next
He
week?
only has 3.
We should announce the 5 and then draw it out.
We already know one. Washington.
What are you announcing next week?
I'll say the 5 teams next week.
Okay.
And then you guys can guess which one I'm going to pick for the following week.
Okay.
Deal.
I love when people get to pick their teams.
It's kind of bullshit.
Well, if you're not a college football person,
Yeah,
you
but
didn't grow up that way.
I mean,
you were born into it.
I didn't get to pick.
I didn't get to pick either.
You didn't get to pick. It wasn't half your side out.
Oh shit.
No,
Alabama?
No, I would never.
Your
I
mama?
would never be that. I would never be
Your
that.
grandma.
I would never be that. I would never. I'd rather die than
But
to
you
be an
you-
Alabama fan.
You did technically have a choice.
No, here's what happened. I was born into a Mississippi State family, 15 minutes from the gates of Mississippi State.
What about your mom?
Hold on. I went to my 7 years old, 1986. I went to my first Mississippi State game. I was a Mississippi State guy forever. My grandmother lived in Decatur, Alabama, And we would go up there to Point Mallard and the Beltline Mall and Old La Casa, and everything was great. And I would go there for a couple of weeks. She was a huge Alabama fan. She would buy me an Alabama sweatshirt every Christmas, and I would not wear it every year. So I have a collection of old Alabama sweatshirts. My mom is an Alabama fan. I'm from Mississippi. I think if you are from a state, if you're from Tennessee or Louisiana or Arkansas or Florida, and you root for Alabama, and
What if you went there?
You let me finish? And you didn't go there, you're a piece of fucking shit. I think you have where you are from is a part of your life. How can I grow up in Mississippi, go to Mississippi schools, be Mississippi, and then root for the state school of Alabama? That's not where I'm from. That's not us. That's bullshit.
To take that even a step further, you know what would be awesome? And I'm saying this being biased from the state that I grew up in because it would mean Texas schools would be great. What if you could only play for or go to the college in the state that you were born and raised in? So, like, if you were born and raised in Mississippi, you have to play for a Mississippi school. You have to go to a Mississippi school. So then
A, that's communist China. B,
okay, we didn't have to take it there.
Well, I mean,
B, as good as that sounds for me, we would get all the Mississippi players, or at least half of them. We also would have never had Dak Prescott. We would have never had Fred Ross. We would have never had these.
And like I said, I obviously know that my state.
Think of who you wouldn't have. Was Von Miller from Texas?
Yes, DeSoto.
Yeah, most Texas A&M stars.
Is Mike Evans from Texas?
Mike Evans from Texas?
No, actually, I don't think he is.
Johnny's from Texas.
Johnny is from Texas. No,
Kyler
Mike Evans
was
is
from
like
Texas.
Galveston. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike Evans is from like Galveston.
Yep.
Right?
Kenny
yeah,
Hill
Galveston.
wasn't from Texas, I don't think, was he? He was from
Kenny
Arizona.
Trill, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kenny Trill.
Kenny
Not that
But
he
he
was
played
good.
for 2 Texas
I don't know why I
teams.
came up with him.
Florida.
He wasn't good.
I know why you came up with him.
Kenny Hill's Florida.
I can't say.
Okay.
It's an answer and it doesn't.
All right.
That doesn't ruin anything.
But moral of the story is you did technically have a choice. I did not have a choice.
I did not have a choice.
Well, if you hypothetically,
I didn't want a choice.
Okay, that's different.
I'd rather never win a title as a Mississippi State fan than win every national title as an Alabama fan.
You don't believe that?
It was probably
Yes, I do.
It's probably so much better when you were younger with Alabama fans.
The 90s were nice.
90, yeah.
Yeah.
What if I'm picking states, ignore the your states, grow up Mississippi, live Mississippi, Mississippi State's your dream school, don't get into it, safe to school.
First of all,
No, that's the end. That's the end of the
That's the
sentence.
end.
Okay.
You know how easy it is to
Fine,
get
fine.
into Mississippi
Ole
State?
Miss is your dream school, you don't get into Ole
Well,
Miss.
no,
Well, that's all.
no. Here's the thing.
Yeah, I see what
hold
you're
on,
saying.
wait,
If
I
you
just hypothetical?
graduated from a high school in Mississippi and you want to go to either Mississippi State or Ole Miss, done. You're in.
Yeah, hypothetical. Like, born and raised, everything that state, love
Yeah.
that state.
Virginia.
Dream school, yes, Virginia, UVA is dream school, don't get in, have to schlep down the road to USC, South Carolina. Can you then root for Virginia?
I don't know that I would have the ability to go somewhere that I don't root for. Like if let's say
you could root for them, but it's like your second school.
If I grew up as a Michigan fan
yeah.
and I didn't get into Michigan, I think I would just go to a very small school and still be a huge Michigan fan.
It's like Toledo.
I'd go like Western or Central. Yeah.
When we went to Toledo, everyone there was Ohio State fans, it seems.
Yeah.
Or you go to a community college that you can like get some credits to end up at
Correct.
the university.
Or do like Rudy did. Like Rudy went to Holy Cross and it was right there with, and then he finally got into Notre Dame at South Bend. I don't know. All right.
I was told that if I didn't go to A&M, I wasn't getting college paid for.
I ain't paying for my kids' school if they try to go to Ole Miss. I'm not paying for it.
Yeah. No.
I'm absolutely.
I don't
not paying
believe
for
that my dad was serious, but I didn't test it.
Oh, I'm not serious either. Okay. Three teams that I believe are in for a rude awakening this year. It's one SEC team, one Big 12 team, and a second Big 12 team.
Okay.
Which one do you want first?
Let's go Big 12.
In for a rude awakening this year. Now, this is very, very easy.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Come on.
I mean,
Come on. No.
Come on.
Think about it.
Rude awakening.
Rude awakening. Come on.
We've talked about
Look
them.
at Katie. Look at Katie.
TCU?
Yes.
I feel like OU's more primed for a rude awakening than
No,
TCU.
because I think Oklahoma got their rude awakening last year. I don't know that they're going to be worse than 6-6 this year or 6-7. But TCU, boy, it was nice and it was fun and it was awesome. And they touched the top of the sport and they grabbed it and they were like, man, I bet it was amazing. They got to sit in the stadium as their team played for a national title. I'll probably never have that feeling. So they had an incredible 2022. The only problem is they got to come back in 2023. And when you win that many close games by that short a margin, and you don't have that quarterback anymore, and you don't have that offensive coordinator, and you don't have the receivers that you had, I feel like there's some ass whippings coming around for TCU.
I could be wrong because I'm not seeing it on social media, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like the majority of TCU fans that we would encounter feel like they're going to be back there.
Oh,
this
no,
year.
no.
Well, the problem
They
No,
think
they
they'll
do.
be 10-2.
here's
Dawson, yes.
here's
Well,
the
Dawson,
here's
that's
the issue
different.
with that. The problem with getting good in football when you're not a great team, and I shouldn't say that, we're not a great program, like you're not a Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State or something like that.
Michigan State last year, or
When
2
you
years ago.
when you touch elite like they did, 7-5 feels much worse than 7-5 would have felt before.
Absolutely.
7-5 feels like a fall from grace. 7-5 feels terrible. So if they go 7-5 this year, it's not a terrible year, but it will feel terrible to them. That's a rude awakening.
It definitely is. I will say, and I don't know if TCU fans would admit this or not, especially not Dawson. We're not going to put him in this conversation because, he lives in Barstool La La Land. But I do think that the way that TCU lost in the national championship game should ease that expectation a little bit. Because had they gone in and played Georgia close and they lost by a touchdown, it was a close game, there was some drama. Then they go 8-4, 9-3. Fine. They got their absolute shit kicked in. So to me, it's like you should go into this season, okay, Max Duggan's not there anymore. Things are flipping around. Maybe we shouldn't have high expectations to think we're going to be back to the national championship game.
They did do well in the transfer portal, but let's just run through it real quick.
Okay.
You just tell me win or loss.
Okay.
They opened the season with Colorado at home.
When
That's a win.
It's a win.
Better
I don't
be.
want to say it,
That's a
but I don't want to say
September
it.
9th, Nichols, that's a win.
Win.
September 16th, they opened Big 12 play at Houston.
I think that's a win.
I think that's a toss-up that leans towards a win. Then they have SMU September 23rd.
Win.
West Virginia at home.
Win.
Win. That's
So
5-0.
That's 5-0. Let's say 4-1 at the worst.
Okay.
At Iowa State,
Win.
6-0 or
6-0.
5-1. BYU at home.
Win.
Loss, maybe.
I say toss-up.
Okay.
Toss-up that leans towards a win. So let's say right there we're sitting.
That seems like that's the tricky, tough.
Let's say we're sitting
spot.
there at 7-0 or 6-1, and
Or
things are going great.
Even 5-2.
You better not be 5-2 at this point.
Okay.
Buckle up. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
At Kansas State. That's a loss. I don't know why y'all are.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends.
I have TCU.
At
brain.
Kansas State, they beat them twice last year.
I have
Oh,
TCU
I'm
brain.
sorry, they barely beat them once, and they lost to them. What?
I have TCU brain from last year, and I have to force myself to
At
remember.
Texas Tech, Texas, Baylor, at Oklahoma. They could lose their last 5.
The last 3 are very, very tough.
Their last 5 are. At Kansas State and at Texas Tech are very tough. Texas Tech can be pretty good.
No, they're good. But when you have Texas, Oklahoma, and Baylor, especially with what those teams are bringing back, Baylor being the least of the 3.
So do y'all believe that they don't have a rude awakening coming? Because I'm fine to hear that.
No, I see what your point is. I think that again, maybe other than Dawson, but I have not seen TCU fans be super loud about thinking they're going to be back where they were last year.
I'll give you an example. 2004, Mississippi State's basketball team went 25-2. They won the SEC. We were number 3 in the country at one point, number 2 in the country. And I remember I was going in to a game, the last game of the year with
Who won the national championship that year?
Okay, relax.
I forgot.
Just relax.
I mean, you know that's coming every time.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to the last game. We're playing Auburn, going to beat them by 30. And I was going with my friend Colby, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know if I can go back to just being a normal type of good. I like 25-2. This feels too good. This is too awesome. I don't know. And of course, the next year we went right back to pretty good, and then we haven't touched that level since. Like going from touching elite to pretty good hurts.
Isn't that the argument that we have all the time, especially in this office, of would you rather be elite and then lose,
Yeah.
or would you rather just be mediocre every single year and not know what it feels like to lose the big game?
I'd rather be elite.
You
I
have
won't
to
touch elite.
You have. That's a great question. for if you were interviewing people for jobs, what would you want? Because you want someone who wants to get to there and not afraid of the letdown. It's like saying, like, oh,
See,
it's a great job interview question. If you are listening to this and you interview people, ask that question at the next one and see what they say. Because you'll see if you're a winner or a loser.
Yeah, would you rather just be average but know you're never going to touch like the depths of hell feeling?
Yeah.
Or would you rather have those really elite upswings and then feel the heartbreak of being a loser?
Are we talking 8 wins or 6 wins?
Oh.
Wow.
I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss.
Don't get us demonetized.
It's The Dance by Garth Brooks.
First of all, Garth Brooks, extremely overrated.
Well, that's how you lose our audience. Also,
He's good. He's good.
Also, I mean,
he's not George Strait. He's not George Strait.
Can he be overrated if he still sells that?
No.
The man hasn't.
What's wrong with
he's
you?
not George
Hold on.
Strait.
Forget about college football.
He's not
What's
George
wrong
Strait.
with you?
You
know why he's not George Strait? Because he's Better than George Strait. He's better than George Strait.
No,
he writes some of his songs. George Strait doesn't write anything. He just stands up there looking like a fucking statue. George Strait's great. I love George Strait. He ain't Garth Brooks.
Okay,
Come on.
so now
you telling me the top 5 Garth Brooks songs? You telling me top 5 George Strait songs can touch the top 5 Garth Brooks songs?
Here's where I'm going to lose our audience probably even more. Neither one is something that I'm just going to sit and be like, you know what, I want to listen to Garth Brooks or George Strait today.
You give me a Jeep and an open road and a full tank of gas and no top and the best 50 songs of George Strait, I'm a happy boy.
Which is fine. He's great. He's not George Strait. He's not.
I said George Strait.
Oh, I thought you said Garth Brooks.
Both of them, but I used George Strait for that example.
Oh, I just heard Garth Brooks. I think that Garth Brooks is great if you like that kind of music. People act like he is the best of country music of all time, and he's not better than George Strait.
I think he probably is the greatest country music artist of all time. Certainly the most successful.
You think that from a talent standpoint, we're talking talent.
Again, George Strait doesn't write his songs.
None of them?
No. He might have written one.
No, we do. You know who we have to introduce in this argument that you're going to hate.
What?
But you do have to introduce Taylor Swift into this argument.
Kayce, I swear to God.
I think she's more pop than country.
Because
she initially started
You
country.
do not have to. You do not.
She does have
We're talking
Grammys
country music.
But see, the thing is she's the
But
greatest
as soon as
artist,
she
like,
made
ever.
her country music money, she went off to pop. She ran away from country.
There is like 5 people in this. Or how many solo acts can sell out stadiums in America right now? Taylor,
Yeah.
Garth.
Ed Sheeran
That's
doing
it.
No, Bieber.
Bieber. I don't know if
Does Gaga sell out stadiums?
I'm saying right now.
Oh, right in this moment?
Yeah.
Isn't Ed Sheeran doing it?
Maybe.
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles can't.
Oh,
No shot.
Didn't he sell out Madison Square on like 20 straight nights? Or
No
something?
shot he can sell out. Maybe.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
maybe I'll give him.
I do think that Bieber could.
I'm saying
You go get my notebook.
Taylor Swift.
No, I'm not going
You
to get
threw
shit.
it, you get it.
Taylor Swift is about to have 5 sold out shows in a week span in LA.
She had
and they
3
all-
in MetLife. Over the
Now,
weekend.
I think there's only. I don't think there's a rapper that can do it. I don't
No.
think Drake can sell out MetLife.
I think he can.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can. There's a reason he's doing. He does the Nets Stadium and MSG.
You guys, you're changing the argument. She said.
George Strait's better than Garth
Stop
Brooks.
that. You said Garth Brooks is overrated.
Because he's not better than George Strait. I think that if again, I am people that listen to country music day in and day out, you have a better opinion than me. I think that if I was going to say the king of country music, I would say George Strait.
Toby Keith.
People don't like Toby Keith, right?
He's
No.
fine. He's fine. But he's not that big.
He's not that level. I like Toby Keith, but I've seen Toby Keith a
I
few
understand
times.
that Garth Brooks is a very, very successful, very talented musician. He's not George Strait.
Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, U2, Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Elton John, McCartney.
What?
I've sold out Madison Square Garden.
Well, I don't want Madison Square Garden.
So that's the only people who've sold it out.
Madison
I
Square
want
Garden is
stadium.
Madison
No, I want
Square Garden
an-
is
I
one
want an
animal.
NFL stadium.
We're talking about can you go into
okay.
middle? Can you go
Yes.
anywhere in America? Can you go to New York, L.A., Chicago, and everywhere in between and sell out?
It's Garth, Taylor, and I think that's it.
I just think, what are the 5 best George Strait songs? Amarillo by Morning.
Don't start singing any of them.
I'm not going to sing any of them. But if I wanted to, I would. If I wanted to.
Also, Garth doesn't do the bullshit sellout. He has every seat fucking sold.
And he has a round stage.
Yeah, it's a round stage. It's not the one where it's like, 30,000 of the seats aren't sold.
Yeah.
Taylor did that, but she could do that too.
Romeo Santos?
You just made that one up.
This is the point that I'm going to make about George Strait. He's not somebody that you think you have to go and see perform. He's like the idea of like when you go to an Adele concert, you don't expect her to dance around, fire, lights. Garth Brooks is a better performer.
Should we do
a better act?
Should we do one
George
week?
Strait just sits up there and sings, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's the greatest."
Should we wait? Should we do one episode in the summer? We'll talk a little college football, but we'll just get all the non-college football out in one episode. Just all of it.
Yes. Well, we
People
say
are
it'll
gonna
only be
hate that
one,
episode.
but
Yeah.
you know what, Jack? They say that they hate it, and it'll be all the people that comment like, "Oh, it took 17 minutes to get to college football," but they know that they actually like listening to random shit too. They just
It depends. We are a college football.
yeah, but it'd be different if we were doing it in the middle of October. Then yeah, we would look like assholes. Did you put up a poll? And I'm winning the poll.
He's now replying, calling everyone morons.
I mean, listen, I'm not even a country music stan over here.
How can y'all say?
He keeps replying.
How can y'all say that George Strait,
I didn't. It's her, not me.
I don't
A
need
man-
I'm winning the poll.
a man who just
I don't listen to
a man who doesn't write his own songs.
I don't know. Do you know that for a fact? He's never written his own songs. What about Willie Nelson?
And
Where do you put him?
just stands and sings.
Yeah, but that's the thing is some people want to see that. That's like the pure musician side of him, which I understand. Like if you're that's why Taylor Swift is so good is because she does it all. Like she can put on a crazy performance and show and also is extremely talented.
She is like
and writes everything and does like.
But that's Garth too.
Garth Brooks, you telling me if Friends in Low Places came on here right now, there's a George Strait song that's equivalent to that?
No, that is a good argument. That might have sold me on
Garth
that.
Brooks is apparently in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
George Strait has to be in some sort of Hall of Fame.
I'm sure he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
But not songwriters. That's a different one.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
I'm looking at. So, how many monthly listeners do you think George Strait has
8
on
million.
Spotify?
8
Well,
million.
Garth Brooks isn't on Spotify.
I'm just curious. I just want to. He's not on Spotify.
No. You can't listen to a Garth Brooks song on Spotify.
Well, only on Apple or something.
Yeah.
He apparently wrote "I Can't See Texas from Here."
Nobody's ever heard of that song. Okay. My second team.
And Jack, it is 8 million. Did you look that up?
It was on my screen.
My second team
7.9 million.
that has a rude awakening coming. This is from the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are several candidates here. Could Alabama have a rude awakening coming? Maybe. I doubt it. Coach is too good. Could Ole Miss have a rude awakening coming? That's possible. Could Tennessee, after going 10-2, have a rude awakening
I know
coming?
where you're going.
Yes, all of these are possibly. But there's one fan base that's a little too big for his britches and acting a little too mighty because they finished the season strong.
Can I guess?
Yes.
South Carolina Gamecocks.
The South Carolina Gamecocks spent 2/3 of the 2022 season being an average to mediocre football team. They were not very good. And then in November, they turned it on and finished strong, and they beat Tennessee, and they beat Clemson. Then they went and lost to Notre Dame in a bowl, who wasn't all that great.
Close game.
Close game.
Really good game, too.
Really good game. High scoring. But there's this assumption that now in year 3 of Shane Beamer that they're ready to take the next step, that their fans believe they're going to win 9-10 games. It's time to take that step from 6 or 7 or 8 to 9 or 10. And I don't think I see it. The over-under total from Vegas is 6.5 for this team, which is a troubling number because Vegas does not like them at all. And I'm just saying, they got shelled by Missouri at home last year. Florida, a terrible Florida team, beat them 38-6. Like, you can look, if you want to look at that season and take out the positives, you also have to balance it with the negatives, and they were there too. I think South Carolina, if you're planning to go 9-3 or 10-2 this year and beat Tennessee and Clemson again, you better pump your brakes because that's going to be tough.
this is Groundhog Day with this conversation, but it all hinges on Spencer Rattler. Because in those games that you just mentioned where they got absolutely shellacked, Spencer Rattler played like shit. In the games where they won and they were super impressive, Spencer Rattler was the guy that we expected him to be at Oklahoma.
What would you rank them in their division? Both of you.
So I think I would comfortably put them in a tie for third right now.
I would say 4.
So I would go Georgia, obviously.
Yep.
Tennessee.
Georgia, Tennessee, and then tie 3 is Kentucky and South Carolina.
I would put Kentucky ahead of them.
I'm like I think in my mind Florida, Kentucky, Auburn, South Carolina could all be ahead of each other. Like that's a
Well, Auburn's not in their division.
sorry.
Yeah.
But Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina.
You think Florida could be decent?
Yeah. I think they could be better than South Carolina. Where's that game?
So it should be in Columbia because they beat 38-6 in Gainesville last year.
But, I mean, South Carolina fans are assuming that the team is going to come back the way that they finished this season. And again, to me, majority of it is going to hinge on Spencer Rattler. Remember when Spencer Rattler acted like he could potentially enter the NFL draft after the end of last season? Like, that's how high not only he was on himself.
Massive, you're right.
But the crowd and the fans, like, we were sitting here talking about Spencer Rattler potentially entering early.
They also have a new offensive coordinator.
So, you know, when you look at and the game where he had like 6 touchdowns, was it against Tennessee?
Yep.
And he
played pretty well against Clemson.
But then all the earlier season, it was like every SEC game combined, he had not hit that number. So to me, it's like, well, which one do we get? Is it Jekyll? Is it Hyde? I don't blame them for being high. Look at the way they ended the season.
Yeah, I would
How
have
could you not be?
too.
They also love Shane Beamer.
I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone on TikTok.
I'm so mad at TikTok. They just have like part 82, 83. You can watch a whole movie.
Entire TikTok is just basically Yellowstone at this point.
It's like, can you guys please get that off the platform? I'm here to watch viral videos.
But
Also, it's hurting my business. It's hurting my business. It's bad for business.
It's bad for Jack's business.
It's bad for my business.
And
I can't
Jackie
compete
TikTok.
against videos that are made by people that put in millions upon millions of dollars.
Buddy, you have this right here. This is the most powerful tool that you will ever have in your life. And trust me, you can get bigger on TikTok. My God, if Jack Mack can do it, you can do it.
I know where that was. I
will never get tired of that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Jack will have millions of followers on TikTok, and that'll still be
the fact that they thought that was praise for him in the meeting was like, why not say, hey, you know who's figured it out? Fucking Jack Mack. Let's be like him. No, that's not what they said.
2 years in a row, by the way.
2 years in a row.
It did take a full calendar month. But it's bad for business because I'm going up against Yellowstone big time production.
Yeah. Katie doesn't really do TikTok clips for me anymore, so it's...
Really?
Why don't you do your own fucking TikTok?
Why don't you do your own fucking TikTok?
I gave up because that's too hard. And I say this in meetings all the time.
You have a baby. That's a cheat code.
Well, because I don't want him to be content.
All right.
And I do know that. But every meeting I have, when people are like, oh, if you just do the green screen on TikTok, I'm like, well, it's never going to be Jack Mack. I actually do say that. I'm not making the joke.
No. I know.
How many followers you got right now? 600,000?
530, I think.
530.
Also, by the way, what's happening with Instagram? Why
I don't know.
Instagram's just like...
It's all the platforms. It's tough to...
Like, the most famous people on Instagram aren't getting Instagram interaction right now, and I don't understand it.
They want it to be like TikTok because they want... This is not college football talk, but they want it. They want the common man, the one with not a lot of followers, to have the chance to go viral. She want to go viral, yeah.
Jackie TikTok.
I will say though, TikTok, they get me with those movies or shows like Part 72, and then I watched Blackbird, the entire
I watched the platform.
Wait, you can watch full episodes of Yellowstone on TikTok?
Pretty much.
I'll be honest.
They cut out all the bullshit.
Yeah, and you just see the good.
You see the good scenes. Part 62, 63.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to TikTok. Look, it went right.
Yep, part 16. Look,
that's crazy.
I went straight to.
How many do you scroll before you get thirst trap?
I don't have to. I don't really have good thirst traps anymore. I pretty much only have Yellowstone and bass fishing.
Oh, you're on bass fishing.
I will say the cool thing about TikTok is you could have the lamest hobby ever. Somehow, some way, it reaches the same people, and the bass fishing isn't lame, but there's some really lame ones that have hundreds of thousands of followers.
All right, my third team that has a rude awakening coming. Now, this one is different from the other two because the other two have big expectations.
And it's also in the Big 12?
It's also in the Big 12.
Okay.
But it's not a team with expectations. It's a team that made a mistake. Okay? And this team last year should have fired their coach. And they didn't.
I know.
And they decided to run through it one more time. And they are going to be god-awful this year.
Would it be our friends at West Virginia?
The West Virginia Mountaineers should have fired Neil Brown last year. I don't know why they're running it back. The second he went out like a coward was it against Pitt or was it against Pitt, right? When
First game of the season.
When he punted on 4th and 1 and basically gave it. When he went out like a coward there, I immediately knew, nope, he's not your guy. He can't get you to the next level. West Virginia is running it back with a coach that should have been fired. I don't even know if he's on the hot seat. He's just waiting to get fired. And they are going to be a special brand of awful this year. And this Big 12 is going to be super competitive. There's not really an easy game in the Big 12, in my opinion. And I think West Virginia is going to be as bad of a football team in that conference as they can be.
Katie, will you pull up their schedule?
Well, we have the magazine right here on the floor.
Oh, well, and it's easy to flip to and
You think
find
they'll
it.
be 2017 Kansas bad?
No, I think Kansas occupies its own level of bad when it comes to that stuff. They've gotten out of it.
Find it, because then I want to play
at Penn State.
So I'll tell you right now, it's at Penn State.
Well, so my question is where on this schedule does he actually get fired?
Okay, let's figure that out.
Okay.
At Penn State,
Loss.
Duquesne, win.
Better win.
Pitt at home,
Loss.
toss up.
Nah, Pitt's going to be good this year.
I'm drinking the Pitt Kool-Aid.
They're going to be good.
So they're 1-2.
Texas Tech at home,
Loss. So 1-3.
toss up, but maybe a loss. At TCU,
Loss.
that's a loss. At Houston.
So
that might be it.
So where does he get fired? Because if we get all the way
Well,
to Houston,
if
and let's say it's a
the
toss,
6 games right there, if through Houston he's got a losing record, he's probably fired right there. Because you got Oklahoma State, loss. At UCF, we'll see. BYU, at Oklahoma. Cincinnati, at Baylor.
I don't think he gets out of September.
I think the Houston game, if they lose that
They're going to be bad. They're
Because he
going to be
was
really
so
bad.
close to getting fired last year. Every week we were on Neil
Who's
Brown
their
watch.
quarterback this year?
Garrett Green.
He's not going to have a long leash per se.
Ah, Garrett Green, yeah. The great Green. Mean Green.
You know, Garrett Green sounds like a quarterback in a children's movie about
Garrett
football.
Green is a better name than quarterback. Garrett Green should be a good quarterback.
Hey, West Virginia, it's GG's this year, man. Good game because it ain't going to be good. That didn't make sense. But GG's is something you say after video games. Like, your son may say that. GG's, Dad.
Got it.
I tried to make a joke. It didn't work.
No, we got it. Now, after that segment, I have a segment called this.
Okay.
I'll have one every week. It's called Are We Prepared For? Are we prepared?
Can we all come up with one, or how does this work?
You can do it next week.
Okay. Because I have one on
Are we prepared for the Pac-12 to be really fucking good this year?
Yes.
Because the SEC routinely is the best. The Big Ten is routinely with them in the argument.
Or ahead of them sometimes.
Sometimes. Rarely, but sometimes. But Pac-12 has never been in that conversation, at least in recent years. In the last 15, 20 years, they've not been in that conversation. This year, they might force their way into it. Now, SEC is going to have Georgia and LSU and Alabama. Maybe somebody joins them. Big Ten's obviously going to have Ohio State, Michigan, and probably Penn State. See if somebody joins them. Pac-12 is going to have USC, who I think has playoff ability. They got to shore up that defense. They've got Washington, who 11-2. I think they could be a playoff caliber team. Oregon will be very good. Utah is very good always. They will be very good. There's another team.
Yeah.
You know who I'm about to say?
Yeah. I said them earlier in the fake college.
Oregon State's going to be really fucking good. Really, like they got a good roster, they got a good coach, they got a good everything. DJ's coming over. Oregon State could be a 10-win team. They're going to be fantastic. UCLA is, trying to find their quarterback.
That's a guy who doesn't get enough credit. Jonathan Smith. I think it's because of his name.
Yeah.
John Smith's like the name you get on Google when you start.
Pocahontas' boyfriend.
Yeah. John Smith, but he went into Oregon State, in a state that doesn't have a lot of talent, is ran by a massive school with a lot of history. Not that Oregon State doesn't have any history, but he went in there, rebuilt it, and it's
They're good.
They're really good, and I think they have a new stadium this year. I think it's finally built all the way.
They're always going to be in that Nike shadow.
You have
always.
other teams.
Yeah. I like their uniforms though.
I think Arizona's coming along. Then their rebuild.
Along.
I think Arizona State's going to be interesting with their new coach. I think Washington State's coming along in their rebuild.
And then there's Deion.
And then there's Deion. Like, this is a remarkably fascinating conference.
To answer your question, are we ready? I would say yes, not only just because of how much better those teams you mentioned are going to be, because I think we were ready for it last year. And not just because Lincoln Riley went to USC. I think all season we kept a really close eye on the Pac-12 race, way more so than we have since especially doing this podcast. But so many times the last few years, we've just said, well, the Pac-12 doesn't matter. Like, when we talk about the college football playoff, it's like, well, whatever. We know that they're not going to be in the race. Last year, I mean, down to the actual season, coming down to the Pac-12 championship, we were prepared for USC to be in the college football playoff. So the answer is yes. However, I think the better question is how much closer do they get to being the best conference of the season? Could they be?
I don't think they have a chance.
I don't think they have a chance. But, I don't remember when we did that episode.
From top to bottom, you could argue that. Maybe
well, that's
not.
what I was going to say.
Even
When we do it was just me, you, and Katie, Jack, when we did who were the best conferences this year, and it was all about how you measure that. Like, do you measure it as, like, the Big Ten being the best because they had 2 college football playoff teams in the playoff? Do you look at top to bottom? The Pac-12 top to bottom is pretty fucking strong. I mean, you're talking about Colorado, who won 1 game last year, and we're talking about them.
Like, if you put Arizona State, and Colorado in the SEC, I don't think any of them are winning a game.
Vanderbilt.
Who they beat in Vandy? No, Vandy's actually
Vandy's not going to be terrible.
Like,
I mean, they could fuck around and beat Vandy or Missouri.
They could.
And Arizona plays Mississippi
But then it's
State
like,
this year.
if you substituted USC with
Noah, quit with the fucking light show, would you?
You know how I know that
put
Brandon's
USC,
mad?
oh, well.
Just side note, because he just completely zoned out that entire thing, and because he was furiously on his phone, I just looked. He's losing the poll, big time.
Because people are stupid.
Okay, but
people are stupid.
You have such a good tell when there's a good conversation happening that you could interject and like try to stomp all over it, and you're out. It's because you're mad at something on Twitter, and you are.
I'm not mad.
You're mad.
Stop breaking stuff.
You are furiously responding to tweets about George Strait and Garth Brooks right now.
It's just George Strait is the Remember the Titans of country music people. People act like.
Did you see him getting into it last night about Remember the Titans?
Oh
I'm with you. It's such a corny movie.
It's the corniest movie. No, it's not.
No, it's so good.
It is not.
You do not slander
Speaking
Denzel.
of TikTok movies, Remember the Titans had a whole page.
Do not slander Denzel.
I didn't slander Denzel. Denzel's the best part of the movie. All I'm saying is,
do not slander Ryan Gosling.
People look at it as this incredible. Oh my God, it's the best football movie ever. It is cheesy as fuck.
What's a Disney movie? Of course
right,
it is.
It's Disney-fied.
Okay.
If they had actually made it a real movie and not a Disney movie, it'd be incredible.
Jack, 26 seconds ago, Brandon tweeted, "Never tweet this bullshit again." Period. That's how you know he's mad online.
Just relax.
Should I?
Because
say
somebody
that
said
I've never
Alan
seen
Jackson
Remember
is the correct
Titans
answer.
Huh? I've never seen it.
Seen what? Remember the Titans?
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. I think Katie spawned at. Oh, we should talk about this. A perfect segue. Spawned at 18 into this world. I don't think she lived from 0 to 18, but this This goes to her tweet from over the weekend. That was insane.
Oh no!
Stop right there.
Wait, hold on, wait.
No.
I was raised as an only child female, so like I didn't have.
No, I get it.
That's. I was a female. You were raised as a female, huh?
Yes.
That does make sense.
I did have the Star Wars.
Oh, does it? You got to ask these days.
Yeah.
But
well,
does
you
that mean
relax.
that you just didn't see movies?
No, Remember the Titans.
I get
movies,
why.
Like,
But did you see?
I saw Mighty Ducks.
Did you see her
I saw
tweet
Miracle.
yesterday?
Oh no, yeah, I did. But then I was really just
Everything's
living
true about
I was
that, too.
living through your responses.
So
to her
there's
tweet.
there's a clip tweet out there that gets people going. It says, "What was the quote unquote big incident at your high school? What was the big thing that happened at your high school?" And Katie Stats, my God, replied with Sandusky type football scandal,
Yep.
Which did happen.
It got settled as I got my freshman year. It was settled.
Hey.
No, just
I know.
Context.
I got it, but I have to read
bad
them.
incident.
Okay, fine.
I have to read them all out in order
Some would
to
say-
let it sink in.
Very bad incident.
Sandusky type football scandal. Senior trip that had hookers and booze paid for by school.
Can't do that.
Head of high school sleeping with teacher.
That happened
do
last
that.
week.
Murder suicide.
Well, that's
False
crazy.
essay accusation. What's that say?
Sexual assault, but I
Okay.
won't put on Twitter, but a girl basically cheated on a boyfriend and accused him of rape and tried to ruin his life.
And the next one, again, remember, Sandusky
Her best
type
friend
scandal, senior trip, hookers and booze,
Murder-suicide.
suicide, false sexual assault accusation, and the next one, massive NFL bust.
This guy was a big story.
It's a big story. It's not all. It didn't say what's your biggest illegal, biggest.
How is
felony.
massive NFL bust anywhere near
It's recent. It happened this
Sandusky
year.
type
Yeah.
scandal or hookers and booze?
And to give people
Well, the hookers
a
and
look,
booze were on the front page of the New York Post.
to give people a look behind the curtain and into our group text, Brandon tweeted, "Jesus, Katie, how did the NFL bust make this list with all that other bad shit?" So you tweeted that for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Katie immediately starts defending it in the group text. Wilson was third on ESPN 300 and seventh drafted, I think, and the one where the mom tore the girlfriend off.
Yeah, no,
That's one.
yeah.
It's just like immediately everybody starts arguing. Yeah, but that's not a crime. The others are illegal, Katie.
This is where I realize.
It's so funny.
This is where I realized that where I grew up was just different and quieter. Like, I grew up in a town of 8,000 people. And she listed all that from high school. Joey Langone had
Also,
one
this
where
was
he
my
was
high
listed.
school was a class of like 120. Per
So,
like small.
I can't remember a
Yeah.
single thing that happened in my 5 years of high school that even comes close to this.
I also left off a few and forgot and have like been since.
Devil's
remembered.
advocate here, because I felt the same way. Do you think it's because we've been out of high school for so much longer than her?
That we don't remember? Or the kids are just worse now?
Katie went to high school in just outside New York, like Manhattan.
Right.
I mean, think about all the crazy things that happen in Manhattan on a daily basis.
Right.
It would make sense that it trickles down to the high school. Her list was long.
It-
Oh, it's
Insane.
like a curse. It's kind of jokingly known within our school. It's like death, taxes, someone fucked up.
Mine.
Like that.
And an NFL bust.
That head of high school thing happened 2 weeks ago.
Sandusky.
So-
Wait a minute. 2 weeks ago. So
Sorry,
it didn't
no,
happen
no,
when
no.
you were in high school?
No. So let me timeline. The head of the high school sleeping with a teacher. That happened 2 weeks ago, or like that came to light 2 weeks ago. Resigned.
when you were there or now?
now,
Oh.
2022.
So-
What's the head of a
three-
high school?
Principal.
Like no, not total school, but like head of the high school, head of the middle school. It's a position. that
What
we
is it,
have.
like a kindergarten through 12th grade school?
She's
Yeah.
rich. She's rich. She's rich.
Well, I went to a private school in Fort Worth, so
She's
not like a
rich,
small
too.
place, and I don't remember anything like that, but I can't. Obviously, there was nothing like murder-suicide.
Kevin blogged about our lacrosse coach getting fired because people were sneaking out on that trip to Orlando.
I can't think of anything anywhere near that crazy that happened when I was in high school. I remember guys getting caught because they were putting
I had-
cocaine in the back. Like, you remember the old Nokia phones? Like, when I was in, like, 7th grade, people were putting coke in their phones. People got drunk at school dances. Like, those, I feel like those things happen at every high school.
I went to boarding school, so
Look, he's doing it again.
Just talk.
Look
Just
at his
talk.
face.
Just talk. Just talk.
I had some crazy ones too.
Well,
I'm
you
not-
went to boarding school.
but that's a little
Isn't that
bit
where
different.
all the crazy shit happens?
Well, it's not all, but it's like when you keep kids there the entire time,
Right.
it's bound to happen
Yeah, it happens on school property, so it becomes a school issue instead
for the
of
whole
just-
time.
can't-
Yeah,
I
but hers list beats
I
me.
mean,
though.
it's insane. I want to see. See, now I'm just refreshing Brandon's Twitter because I want to see.
There's
how
still
mad
a
he
group
is.
of people who defend the football coach. They want
Yeah.
him. They want
Well,
him back.
It got
There are people
settled
that
when I was a
defend Joe
freshman. there,
Paterno.
That was the
I
joke.
think it's from
Oh.
like the 80s.
As I'm reading Twitter. Fuck. Missed that one. Right over my head. It's okay. Brandon is so mad online.
Oh, Pate's involved now.
Oh no! You have your 2-minute drill.
I do, but I am just furiously.
It's fine. It's fine.
We've had
2
some
seconds
great
ago.
audio
fine.
today.
2 seconds ago,
fine.
Brandon put 5 straight songs against this list: "Friends in Low Places," "The Dance," "The Thunder Rolls," "Unanswered Prayers," "Beaches of Cheyenne."
You tell me 5 George Strait
And
songs better than
I
that.
will give you credit right now. The fact that you just rattled those off in the middle of a podcast, like you didn't have to think about
Oh,
it.
I could throw 5 George Strait songs
no,
up there
I know,
too.
but I'm saying it proves your point. that you,
God damn it! I wish we could sing on this show.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't lose us any more money than you already have.
Okay.
Whoa.
Just relax. Chill. Pause. Less of that.
Also, by the way, speaking of sponsors,
I can't speak.
Barstool Sportsbook.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that.
Yes,
Actually,
we love Barstool.
That one I'm allowed to talk about.
Yeah, we love the Barstool Sportsbook.
The Barstool Sportsbook now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download, create an account today. Use code RUFF to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Be sure to use code RUFF to unlock your $1,000 bonus to take part in the Barstool Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook app in this country.
Baseball, There's
and NBA Finals coming up.
NBA Finals.
NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
Stanley Cup. There's a lot of great
Celtics
fights
shit the bed,
this
huh?
summer.
Yeah, a lot of
And
golf.
then before you know it,
it's
going to be football, man.
Oof.
And then what
Less than
else?
100
Golf.
days.
terms apply. You must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER. You have
1-800
Ohio State's odds have dropped.
to
I
what?
remember 'cause I went to Massachusetts, was going to the book, just was like, want something to do this weekend.
Yeah.
The night of the Natty, they were plus 500. This weekend, they're plus 700.
It's like the difference in that isn't that big because it's like plus 500 implies, man, 90%, and then plus 700 is like 92%.
I guess I'm just surprised with this far out, there's no news, like, that it can be changing.
No quarterback really commanded that race. That may be affecting it a little bit. You know what I mean?
I don't think anyone's gotten better.
This is just one of those moments where it's almost like we should just end the podcast because Brandon is so out to lunch with this argument he's having on Twitter.
I do.
He's not paying a single ounce
No,
of
this
attention.
is one of those let him cook moments where
Yeah,
I just
this
need,
is just
y'all
let
need
the
to
man
lock
cook.
me in a room with a phone and just leave.
I know, that's what I'm wondering. Like, should we just
No,
let
you're
you
going to do
cook?
the 2-minute drill. We need to do that. We owe it to the people.
We owe it to the people. So I was going to do it last week, Brandon. I feel like we're going to have the cartoon moment where his like head blows off his body. He's so mad. He's feeling his own boobs right now.
No, I'm scratching my chest. Just go.
Okay. Last week we were talking a lot about conference realignment, and so my 2-minute drill is a little bit with that.
Sure.
Are you okay?
Continue,
Okay,
bitch.
okay.
Okay.
If you were
This is question number 1.
question number 1, if you were in charge of starting your own super conference right now, and you could pick any 5 teams in the country to start your own super conference that would start playing this year, you can take anybody you want. Who would those 5 teams be?
All right. So now there are several questions to ponder
Okay,
here.
that's
Okay?
fair.
Because I believe when you say teams, you should consider schools and not teams.
No, football teams.
No, wait a minute. You asked me to start a super conference.
I was talking about football, but okay.
But I
okay,
think you
fair.
need to
so
take in the whole picture.
Okay, so athletic programs.
Right.
5 athletic programs to start your own super conference, although I was leaning towards
I
just
think
in
I
football,
go. I'm
but-
going to call it. I need a map of the United States.
Don't go on Twitter when you open it.
Making
First of all,
it
I do
all
it a lot.
athletic programs
That's
changes
fair.
it a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like Stanford.
Is it all pro?
massive.
I was wanting to do football.
Okay, just football?
I was wanting to do just football because we were talking about last week and the week before with ACC doing like the Magnificent Seven and all the bullshit. Just football. If you could put together a super conference of 5 football teams right now and your team plays in it.
Okay,
So,
what
like,
I'm going to
you're
do is
creating it.
I'm going to draw a line.
Okay.
And the line is going to be
Not the Mason-Dixon line.
The line's going to be in Austin, Texas,
Okay.
from the Texas coast all the way up to Canada,
Just
from the
90 degrees
from
up.
the Alabama line
Straight up.
all the way up to
Not 90
Canada,
degrees, I believe.
and that's going to give me
Right.
my conference. I'm going to have Texas,
Okay.
Alabama, LSU, Notre Dame, and Michigan. But I hate to leave Ohio State out. So I'm going to have to give me Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, and Alabama. Georgia's out. No, LSU is not. I don't know. How about that?
Georgia-
All I want to do is look on Twitter.
See?
All I
Let
want-
him go. Okay, then you know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this 2-minute
No,
drill when
do
you're-
another one. Do another one. Let's see what the
I
second
want to
question
hear
is.
what, but I want to hear what Jack's
Let Jack
answers are,
answer it, yeah.
Because his brain's gonna think of it differently than ours. Because my thought was like take the best from each of the Power 5 to create like the Power 5.
Super League, yeah, no,
A
super,
Super
com-
League.
yeah,
So like
super
if I was gonna do
conference.
it this year, it would be Georgia, Clemson, Michigan, Texas, USC.
I would do Georgia, Texas, USC, Ohio State, and then Penn State. I'm trying to think of you have North, Midwest, West, Midwest, or
That's why
Southwest, and then South.
I wish I
I know
love
Penn
that-
State's not necessarily Northeast, but it is North.
That's easy to get here from.
I don't
get them
care.
roads.
Whatever. Y'all just do whatever you guys
Yeah, see, I know. Like this, it's over. Like we gotta let him cook.
We have to do a YouTube intro.
Yeah. Again, it's a good realignment.
Yeah.
She's right. She
Yeah,
knows.
I know him.
She knows.
I know him. There's no.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
No,
there's
we know.
there's
I
no
know.
way
It's-
this
Alabama,
man.
All right.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson.
Fine, whatever. That's
Okay,
unnecessary.
let Brandon eat.
That's unnecessary reference.